All right, we're live. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Victory Condition Gaming. My name is Doug. Today on the show, I'm so excited to have Tomas back on from Fria Ligan Publishing, or Fria Ligan, wherever, if you're watching this in other parts of the world. But I'm so excited. They have a new campaign, Kickstarter campaign for their Coriolis game. I love this game so much. All their stuff is just so great. In fact, I got called out on the last video we did with them, with him for the Forbidden Lands Kickstarter. Someone said that I was a huge Fria Ligan fanboy in that video, and so I'm going to apologize in advance on this one, but it's going to happen again. I'm going to be a huge Fria Ligan fanboy in this video too. So, Tomas, thank you so much for coming on and spending a little bit of time with us and talking about the Coriolis campaign book Kickstarter that you got going on.
Thank you for having me on again.
Oh, it's always a pleasure. I'm so excited. You guys are just doing some great games. You guys, some of my favorite RPGs in the market right now are your books, and everybody should be playing Fria Ligan games at this point.
Yeah, I think so too. Thank you. Happy to hear it.
No problem. I will tell folks that if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the chat. We'll address them hopefully as they pop up, or as I can fit them in. And then at the end, if there's still questions, we'll address them at the end. Also, if you are interested in the Coriolis campaign, or even picking up a copy of Coriolis, I did put a link to the Kickstarter in this description of this video, so please check that out. Tomas, let's talk about you. I'll have you introduce yourself and tell folks who you are, what you do, for just briefly, and we'll dive right into it.
All right. Yep. My name is Tomas Härenstam. I'm one of the people at Fria Ligan Publishing. We're a Swedish publisher of tabletop role-playing games, as well as literature and art books and some other things. But tabletop RPGs are our core business. That's what we do, and that's what we really sort of do for that we love, and that's what we're focusing on. So we put out a couple of games these last few years. Year Zero was our first international game. Coriolis was the second, and Tales from the Loop was the third, and the fourth one is Forbidden Lands, which is coming out later this year.
So excited for that game. So excited. I've started reading the PDFs that you sent to all the backers, and I haven't finished them all yet, but yeah, I love everything that I'm reading in that so far.
Yeah, it's coming along nicely.
Now, Coriolis, Coriolis is your sci-fi version of I want to say it's like a Mutant Year Zero kind of with a twist. It uses D6 dice pools, and it's popular in its own right. It was actually a 2007 Ennie's Judge Spotlight winner.
It was. I mean, we published a core game last year, early 2017, and then it was this Judges Spotlight Award at Gen Con, which was really cool. And it's science fiction for sure. I mean, this is the core book right here. You got it too.
No, it's
absolutely heavy. You can actually sort of hurt people with this thing.
It's huge. It's huge.
Yeah, I know.
It's beautiful too. I mean,
book by far.
If folks aren't playing this RPG, you got to be playing. If you're a fan of sci-fi RPGs, you got to be playing Coriolis. There's a reason why it was in my top 5 RPGs of 2017. This book is beautiful. I mean, come on. These guys they know how to do RPG books. Come on, play this game.
So anyway, and what we're doing now is that after the core game, we have published some smaller modules and scenarios and things. But now the current Kickstarter that's going on right now is for the grand campaign of Coriolis, and this is the part 1 is called Emissary Lost, and this book is the Swedish version of that, which was published just right now. So the Kickstarter is for the English version. So that's like part 1 of the big campaign for Coriolis. This is I think the great opportunity, perfect time to get into Coriolis if you didn't already, because now the big epic campaign is starting to move forward.
Awesome. I'm excited to dig more into this world. Can you give just like a 2-minute summary of what the setting of Coriolis is?
Oh, sure.
For folks, just if they're not familiar with the game.
Yeah, I mean, Coriolis is kind of space opera. It's got your starships, it's got all of that, but I think the main twist to what you would say, comparing to like mainstream or the sort of other science fiction, is that it's not based in necessarily only Western culture, but the cultural background and the cultural influences come a lot from the Middle East and the Far East and other areas of our world, and that really gives the whole setting of Coriolis a completely different feel and to many of the sort of Western-centric sci-fi games that we've sort of learned throughout the years. So this one has a different feel in that sense. And then, I mean, the core setting description. This is a game with a big setting. There's a lot to dig into, but the core idea is that there's this cluster of star systems. A number of it's around 30 star systems that are clustered fairly close together. And this cluster is called the third horizon. There is a reason for that. There is a first and a second horizon. This is a third horizon. And humans have colonized this star cluster in 2 waves. First, actually, a big generation ship left Earth sometime way back, going towards the star cluster to find a new home. That trip took a very long time. So in the meantime, while they were sort of on the moving slowly through space, technology advanced so much on Earth that another wave of colonists actually reached this area quicker. So the game takes place when that first generation ship actually arrives to find this area already colonized for hundreds of years by other humans.
I love this.
2 distinct groups, which are quite different in their sort of outlook on life and of things in general. Where the first come, who are the ones who came first, their society has fallen a bit into decline. There's divisions, there's like different fractions, and they have also sort of stepped a bit away from technology. Technology is not so much dominating their life anymore. These star systems have become to some extent isolated from each other. While the Zenithians, who are the ones who came with the ship Zenith, this generation ship that actually left earlier, they are still in the mindset where sort of they're colonists, they have a lot of technology, they want to bring, order, they want to set things right. So there's like a clash of ideas and of cultures there that sort of gives a very interesting mix of things. And then, I mean, so that's really a very brief rundown of the general setting.
Right. Yeah. But it's and then there's even more to it than that. It's just it's a great setting, and anybody that is like a fan of like Firefly, buy this book. Just buy it and play it. You'll love it.
Firefly is a strong. I mean, that kind of you have. I mean, the core theme of actually playing the game is that you create your own ship. So you have the group has its own ship. That's part of character creation, is ship creations. You actually make that ship that you'll fly around with and you'll spend a lot of time on, and that'll be like a centerpiece of the campaign will be your ship, and then you do all kinds of adventure based on that, basically.
Right, because what you did was you took the Mutant Year Zero, where the Mutant Year Zero setting has the Ark as its main base. You've basically taken that, and instead of an Ark, you have a ship, which is it was genius. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that we like to do in almost all our games, particularly in Year Zero and Coriolis as well, and it will also feature heavily in Forbidden Lands, is that we want players to create something and play with that or in that, like they create a community, like in Year Zero, your ship, Coriolis. In Forbidden Lands, you will also be able to create like strongholds. So you actually make a lasting impression on the game world, and then you will also be forced to defend that creation. So actually, because then you can get a lot of great drama out of putting that thing that you have created into some kind of jeopardy, and that will create a stronger emotional connection than if you just ask to go on some quest by some stranger.
Right. No, I love that. I think that's one part I mean, that's one aspect that I really dig about your games, and the mechanics themselves are just they seem to hit like all the boxes. They check all the boxes that I want in an RPG, which is great. So let's talk a little bit about the Emissary Lost campaign. Let's is where's my notes here? What does this book entail? It's you say it's part one of multiple books. Is it going to be a complete? Is it a complete campaign all in one book, or are people going to have to keep buying? I mean, if you go through this whole book, is it going to feel like an accomplished story, or?
There's that. I mean, it's like the challenge with a thing like this, right? Because the campaign is far too big to be contained in just one book, and this is about 250 pages, so it's not a small book, but it's still, that's just the first part. But we have made a serious effort, and we have made sure that you can play part one, and then you don't have to sit around to wait for part two, it's already started, so it's not something that is going to come out probably next year. I mean, for sure. I mean, in about 1 year after Emissary Lost will be part two. But even if you finish part one really quickly, it's going to take some time because it's a lot of stuff in there. But if you finish it quickly, that you can still do other stuff in between. I mean, the way the campaign is structured, you don't need to. It doesn't like tag on right where part one ended, so you won't instead you'll actually be able to go do other stuff in between before part two kicks off. And what we've said is that it will be 2 or 3 parts. We have not entirely settled on that yet. We know the story, the overall arc. I mean, there's a lot of like the big secrets of the setting will be revealed, and all of that is outlined. We're just not completely sure yet on how to best frame that, package that, present that. So whether it's 2 more or just 1 more book after Emissary Lost.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Now, this book itself it's going to have 3. Is it like 3 parts? This book, isn't there?
There is 2 core. I mean, there are 2 scenarios in the book. 2, and both of them are quite extensive, long scenarios with a lot of handouts and a lot of backstory. I mean, there's an introduction part that sort of introduces the whole campaign. So that's the 3rd bit. But the sort of meat of the book are these 2 long scenarios that you play.
Excellent. The part that I read was the Wake of the Martyr. How it kind of sets up that the mystics are being persecuted, and that you're kind of trying to figure out how why that's going on and who's behind that. And that was really interesting. And it seemed like the first part was kind of based on the space station itself, Coriolis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you're doing some investigative work on that.
Yeah, exactly. The first scenario is, like you said, the Wake of the Martyr, and that takes place on Coriolis station itself. I mean, that's also something worth mentioning. If you're not familiar with the game, is that Coriolis is, apart from the name of the game itself, is also the name of a huge space station that is orbiting the planet called Kua. And Coriolis station is really like the center of power in the Third Horizon. That's sort of where the power and all of the fractions. There's a number of factions in the setting, and they all come together in a great council, which is also taking place on Coriolis station. So that's really where like the heart of power. And yes, that first scenario takes place on Coriolis station itself, and it's sort of a mystery solving whodunit kind of scenario with a lot of you'll be learning things about the setting and what's going on behind the scenes. And yes, the one thing that kicks it off is that these mystics, that's part of what's was presented in the core book, and the setting as such is that you have lately 2 things have happened in Third Horizon, and this is firstly some mysterious beings called the emissaries have appeared. People don't really know what they are and what they want, but they seem to be coming from somewhere and sort of seeking contact with the people of the Third Horizon. That has created a bit of a stir, and at the same time, people have started to develop mystical powers, like they can foretell future, move things with their mind. These kinds of mental powers have started to appear, and it seems, at least from the timing, that it's somehow connected to the arrival of these emissaries. And why this is going on, well, I'm not going to spoil it here.
Sure.
But anyway, yes. So what the Emissary Lost scenario kicks off with these mystics disappearing one by one for unknown reasons, and really that sort of the player characters are pulled into the investigation as to find out why and who is behind these or what is behind these disappearances.
That's I love that you've taken that the first part of the book and put it out in the space station. The second part goes to the planet Kua itself.
Mm-hmm.
You go back down and then you like explore the jungle, and I'm sure there's other reasons that you're exploring, but I love how you kind of like split the book into two halves, and one explores one part of the setting and the other explores the other part.
Yeah, that's the second scenario, the Kuan connection, which, like you said, you go down to the surface of planet Kuan, and primarily, I won't, spoil anything, but primarily that's sort of the environment you will be in, and you will be exploring that. It's hard to go into too much detail without moving into spoiler territory. I don't know
Sure. Yeah,
but yeah, that's certainly it. I don't know if I just wanted to bring it up because I think it's kind of fun that Coriolis is a game that we didn't create originally. It's a licensed game,
right.
And actually, this campaign, I mean, we created a lot of original content for Coriolis. That is, I mean, most of it is entirely done by us. But this campaign, the first draft of this was actually written about 10 years ago.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. So it's been around for a very long time, and we've been working on it in I mean, I wouldn't say continuously for 10 years, but off and on pretty much since then, from that first draft. And that first draft was written by a guy called Mattias Lilja, who works for Jan Ringen with the Sumberum game, if you're familiar with that.
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of nice. And we have taken over Coriolis, but I mean, the core elements are still there. We have expanded it quite a bit. They added the Kua part and all of that, but it's really been a work in progress for about a decade. So for us, it's like a really cool to see it finally coming together.
Yeah, I bet. That's great.
Yeah.
So how much of this book is finished? I mean, I know in the Kickstarter you said that you've got the translation done,
mm-hmm.
You've got the editing done. What else are you looking to do with?
Pretty much, I mean, the editing is pretty much, I mean, it's translated, it's proofread, and apart from like final proofing, it's the text is completely done. I mean, all the art is done. So really, what remains to do is the layout work and the printing of the book itself. But it really helps. I mean, that's one of the pitfalls of Kickstarters, right? That you can sort of promise too much or promise to deliver something sooner than you're actually able to do. I mean, we've certainly had that experience as well, that we sort of realized a bit late that, okay, this was probably a mistake. This was too optimistic, things like that. But for this project, we'll feel really confident that we can, since we're so far ahead already, I mean, really what we need the funds for now is the layout work and primarily print and ship the book to all the backers. Awesome. So that's really what remains to do.
Now, I'm going to tell you right now that I've backed, I didn't back your first two Kickstarters for Mutant Year Zero and for Gen Lab Alpha, but every Kickstarter since I think I've been a backer of, and every single time you guys just chuck so much value into your pledges. Like when it's all said and done and all these stretch goals that you unlock, it's just amazing what you guys deliver for a final project. And it's you. I know you say you kind of overexert. Like sometimes you're not sure if you're promising too much. And I'm going to tell you as a backer, you guys deliver. Anybody that's thinking about on the fence about backing any project from you guys, before it's all said and done, you get a lot of stuff back once your pledge arrives. And let's talk a little bit about the stretch goals that you've unlocked.
Yeah.
We do have some questions. Let's talk.
Okay.
Let's answer some questions.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Quirin Tarantino says, do you plan smaller scenarios like the Taylor from Mira in the stretch goals in the current campaign in a regular basis in the future, besides as stretch goals in future campaigns?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do have these smaller scenarios that we've now added as stretch goals. We have two of them unlocked already. The Taylor from Mira, Algebra of the Icons, those are unlocked already. And then there is the Eye of the Beast, which is not yet unlocked. We did something a bit similar during the main the campaign for the core book. Those were not scenarios; those were scenario locations, and that we published in PDF, like short PDFs, like 10, 15 pages PDFs, which is kind of nice, I think, to have something, not only those huge books, but also something smaller in between. So that, and we'll probably keep doing that. I mean, for now we have these, but we might definitely do more of those later on as well.
Nice. Matthew Tyler Thomas says, does the Nazarene's sacrifice feature in the campaign?
Well, now, I'm just trying to figure out whether I'm spoiling or not. So,
possibly?
Yeah, there is a strong possibility of that. Yes.
Nice. And then Tyler Thomas says, how familiar do you have to be with the setting history to enjoy the campaign? I just know that my players won't want to read the whole history portion of the rules. I think if I can answer this, I think, Tyler Thomas, what you need to do is you need to pick up the quick start and give that a shot with your players and get them playing that just to start out with, and then I think they'll just dive right into this.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, there is a quick start PDF which is free that you can try out the game. But also, I'd like to could add to that yeah, I mean, in a sense, Coriolis is not a typical Free League game, to be completely honest. I mean, I think the sort of hallmark of Free League games is that they're low prep. They're sort of you can get started quickly, learning the world as you go along. It's sort of and they're quite. I mean, while Mutant Year Zero, you sort of explore or actually build a setting as you play. Forbidden Lands, you're also sort of, there is a rich setting, but you don't really have to. It's sort of unknown to the characters as well when you start playing, which sort of puts them in the same position as the players. Coriolis is a bit different because it does have a really, really rich campaign setting, and the setting part of the core book is like 200 pages. But to answer the question, you don't need to read all of that to be able to enjoy the campaign. I mean, there's sure. I mean, if the GM has read most of it, that probably helps. But for the players, I think it's perfectly fine. I mean, there's like an introductory chapter that's, I'm just checking here. It's about 5 or 6 pages that sort of summarizes the game and what you do in it. And I would pretty much say that if the players have read that, it's six pages. Then they're fine. I mean, there's really you don't need to know more than that to play this campaign. You probably pick up a lot more and learn and dig into it when you play. But that introduction is really, it's fine if you just dig into that.
It sets up quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay, so let's go back to stretch goals, because you've unlocked a lot of this, and to be honest with you, did you expect this campaign book to be this? I mean, you've raised a lot of money for just a campaign book for your game. Did you anticipate this much funding to start out with?
Yeah, not really. I mean, it's always hard to say. It's really difficult to know beforehand. And this was the first time we kickstarted a campaign book like this. I mean, we did kickstart Gelab Alpha and Mutant Mechatron, which are expansions to Mutant Year Zero, but they're also standalone games. Exactly. So that's a bit different. Well, this is a campaign book. You really do need Coriolis, the core book, to play it. So yeah, no, we didn't. I think this. I mean, it has certainly surpassed our expectations for sure, and that's a lot of. So really happy about that. That's fantastic. I mean, what we tried to do, and I think it's worked fairly well, is that we tried to also make this an opportunity for people who are not familiar with Coriolis at all to also get into it via this campaign if they want to. So we have like a starter pack pledge where you get the core book and Emissary Lost, and we have like all the other previous items, like the rule book, the other scenarios, like the card deck, and all of that are available as add-ons. So if you want to dig into Coriolis, this is a really good opportunity because you can get everything. You don't have to get the core book and all of that somewhere else. You can actually get everything through this campaign. So that's sort of what we were trying to do, also to sort of use this campaign to actually get even more people to get to know Coriolis, and reach a few more people than the ones who kickstarted last time.
The one thing that I was, and we kind of touched on the fact that it was a judges spotlight at the Ennies. I know Tales from the Loop swept pretty much every award that it was nominated for the Emmy the Ennies. I almost think that hurt a little bit of Coriolis's exposure, because I think had Tales from the Loop not been out, I think Coriolis probably would have swept all those, or would have been, would have picked up, because they're just both terrific games.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say, of course, what would have happened, but it's true that they were released in quite close to each other. Coriolis came out in February of last year, and Tales from the Loop in April, so it was really close. And I think Tales, it was a bit of a runaway hit that sort of really connected with a lot of people, and that made it sort of, to some extent, I think, overshadowed Coriolis in the general sort of, in the eyes of gaming community. But what is cool about Coriolis, I think, is that it's got a very strong community. It hasn't really achieved the same level of exposure as Tales from the Loop has, but it has a very active community. They're specifically active on G+ for some reason. I'm not sure exactly why that's the strongest platform, but it is. And there's a lot of because it always varies from game to game. We have a Facebook group for Tales that is really active. For Coriolis, it's Google+. But anyway, so they're really that community is fantastic, because they're sort of really digging into the setting, to the rules, because Coriolis is a deep game, and there is a lot there to discuss and to figure out if you sort of spend time with it. And so that has, if you compare Tales to Coriolis, I would say Tales, it has a broader audience, but Coriolis has like a more deeper audience that goes in depth a little bit more, maybe.
And I'm going to give a podcast a shout out if we can. There's an actual play podcast of Coriolis called The Coriolis Effect. Everybody should be listening to. They're a couple guys that just do some great podcast.
And I think they do also some they have both. I think they're some actual play and some discussion episodes as well, where they discuss parts of the rules and scenarios and all kinds of things. It's an awesome podcast. It's anyone who it's interested in Coriolis could check that out.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're doing some great work.
Yeah.
All right. So let's finally get to the stretch goals. I've been. So you've unlocked a hardcover, which is great, because everybody likes to have their campaign book with the hardcover. You've unlocked some digital art books for the that are added to the pledges. A couple ribbon markers.
Yep.
An EPUB novel, which I think this makes the second novel, because you already have one out, correct?
There is, this is the second. The first one is, I would call it more of a novella. It's not really full-length novel. I don't have the word count in mind right now, but it's a bit, you wouldn't really call it a novel. It's like, more like a novella, like a long, somewhere in between long short story and full novel, which is called The Secret of Nestor Ambar. And that was part of the last Kickstarter. And we released that to backers as a PDF and EPUB format, so people can read that. This one is actually a bit different. It's a bit weird, maybe as a stretch goal, because it's actually been published before. So that's a bit of it's a kind of special thing. And it's written by, I mentioned before that Coriolis was originally created by another team, and this novel is actually written by one of the writers of that team on Jan Ringen. So His name is Matthias Lilja, and he's the guy who wrote the first draft of Emissary Lost as well. So it's kind of, it fits together. But this ebook was actually published by another company called Paradox Interactive, which is a computer games company that owns the Coriolis license or IP. It gets kind of complicated. So this ebook was actually, but what we did now was that we thought it hasn't really received any much exposure from that ebook. So we thought, well, why not just because this was like the second wave of stretch goals. So we thought, let's talk to Paradox and see if we can just give this ebook to everyone. So we made an arrangement with them that we could use this as a stretch goal. So it's, I mean, it's also, of course, some backers might already have it. So it's, I'm sorry for them, but I think most backers wouldn't probably not yet be aware of this book. And I thought this would just be a good opportunity to spread the book, to share the book with a lot of people. And it's a full-length novel that takes place mainly on Coriolis Station. So if you sort of want to get into that, it's also got a bit of a mystery solving noir type feel. So it's a very good companion to Emissary Lost.
Excellent. Now you've also unlocked. We've talked about the smaller scenarios that you've put out. Hopefully there'll be 3 that'll be unlocked. I have no doubt that the third one won't be unlocked because you've got 10 days left on this campaign, and it just seems to be just chugging right along, and it's doing really well. You've got 2 larger scenarios that are hopefully that you're hoping to give us all in print, which again, you just keep adding value to these pledges, and it's really especially the print pledges, which is great.
Exactly. Let's mention those 2 longer scenarios. The one is already unlocked. It's called Last Voyage of the Ghazali, and that's a pretty meaty thing. It's going to be it's not laid out yet in English, so I don't know the exact page count, but I think around 64 pages. So that's a full-length big scenario, and it ties also into Emissary Lost in a nice way. So it's perfect to play a Last Voyage of the Ghazali as a prequel or a prologue to Emissary Lost. And then the second one is not yet unlocked, but that's Aram's Secret. It's also a bit shorter, but it's going to be around 48 pages. Also a full-length scenario. And all of those, or both of those, are already published actually in Swedish, which means we have all the art done and so on. One of them is translated, the other one is not fully translated, but that's something we'll get right on as soon as it's unlocked, basically. So it should, because that's what we risk doing if we add more stuff, especially things in print, because they need to ship together with the core book. So if we add too much things, that could risk delaying the delivery of everything, and we don't want to do that. But these 2 scenarios, we feel confident that we can definitely finish in time, so that people don't delay anything for anyone. I think there is another physical stretch goal though that I think is really cool and that people have asked for a long time. I don't know if you saw that, but it's the custom dice.
Yes, I have. That was the next talking point that I have. Okay. But yes, they look beautiful. I'm excited about those. Why don't you talk about those a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, dice is always fun, right?
Absolutely.
So I mean, we started making custom dice with a company called Q Workshop, which is they're really solid reputation in the field. They make really beautiful dice. They're based in Poland, I think, but they make beautiful dice. They have made for a lot of other games as well. You could check out all their designs on their website. There's a lot of stuff there, and we made the first. We made custom dice with them for Tales from the Loop.
Yes.
And that was like the first time we did any dice with them, and that turned out really well. They look great. They're a lot of fun, and they're sort of really crafted. They're not just like printed on, but they're sort of properly engraved, and so they're really nice. So, but for Coriolis, we didn't do that. We didn't do any. You can play with normal D6s, so it's not like you need custom dice specifically. But and it's the same thing in Tales. So, but since in the game system, 6s have a special, they're what you want to roll, basically. So 6s have a special function in the system. So in Tales from the Loop, we made the 6s into this symbol of this this authority, this government agency that runs the loop. That's sort of a special symbol. So we use that instead of the 6 side, and then you want to roll these 6s. So it's kind of a nice way to tie into the setting. So when we started thinking that, because a lot of people was like, well, why don't you do custom base for Coriolis as well? Then we sort of, well, this could be a good opportunity to do that. If this campaign goes well, then let's do that. So we started making the design, and we all got really excited by it. So now it's unlocked now, so now it's definitely going to happen. So we're including one set of those in all backers of that pledge level. That includes all the physical stretch goals.
Yeah, the Tales from the Loop dice that I have are awesome, and I'm excited to get some for Coriolis. Let's see here. I've got a question from, it looks like Finoth Vor. I'm sorry, I probably. We've got a general question in our group. We play a group of merchants. How high is a usual award for a job? We were wondering what's much money and what we're wondering how much money and what is normal in relation to our ship debts.
Yeah, I guess he refers to the fact that when you create the ship,
right,
usually it can go in a different ways, but you sort of have to. Usually, you start out the game with some kind of debt because you need to funds to build your ship. That means someone will have some hold on you, or you owe someone something, which is always fun, makes for fun scenarios. Yeah, I mean, I must say it's hard to answer right off the bat. I wouldn't be able to give it a specific number, but I think these kinds of questions is like perfect to come to our forums. I don't know if we could paste the link to the Coriolis forums maybe, because there is a great community there as well, not only in the Google Plus but also on our forums, where these kinds of sort of questions are asked and answered all the time. I would need to look it up before I give you that number there for what's a good reward. I think it's better that I do that not live on the stream.
Sure. No, I visit the forums pretty frequently. I like you guys are very active on there, and especially you, Thomas. I know that you answer questions specifically yourself, which is very nice to see. I always like it when a publisher or a company comes on there and loves to and enjoys interacting with the folks that enjoy their games. It's really nice to see.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly try to do that as much as we can. So it's and it's a lot of fun. I mean, and it's for all our games, and I think now specifically because Forbidden Lands, to some extent Tales from the Loop as well, we didn't do it for Coriolis, but for these later games we did in like an alpha PDF, we call it, like right. You get the game, like the rules basically. This is pretty much a complete game. It's not fully proofread, doesn't have all the art, there are some things, but it's got the main part of the rules and at least like 1 or 2 scenarios so you can play it. And we put that out a few months before the rest of the game is finished. And then people get a chance to read it, to try it out, to play it, and that has created a lot of good discussions. I mean, now for Forbidden Lands, our forums are full of people discussing rules, setting, all kinds of things, and and it's a great resource for us because it gives us. I mean, we learn what. I mean, obviously, we try to make good games anyway, but having a lot more people look at the games, try the games, test the games, they will spot things that are unbalanced, or if there's something a little bit broken, or just come up with alternate ideas. I mean, I might have an idea that I think, oh, this is complete, this is perfect, this is the way it's going to work. Right. And then someone says like, well, why don't you did you consider that? Or and it can really set you off. And I mean, you should of course stay true to your vision and to the like what we want to do with the game, and that we're not changing. But on the more detailed level, these kinds of discussions are extremely fruitful and will definitely help the game better. So that's a fantastic resource. So it really goes both ways. I mean, hopefully we can provide some, be of some use on the forums as well, but certainly we learn a lot from it too.
That's great. That's great. So I'm going to tell everybody to go back this Coriolis Kickstarter for the campaign book. You've got it's like I think the one that I've backed right now is like a $79 pledge. It's $79 US, and you get like everything in print that's unlocked. And I think that right there is like that sweet spot that you need to get, because you get so much other stuff with it. And like I said, you're not going to be disappointed with the amount of content that Free League gives you with that pledge at all, because every single time I've backed, I've gotten a lot of. But there are digital copies that are less expensive, and then there are like Thomas said, there's packages where you can get the copy of the core book as well, and really dive into it.
Yeah, you can sort of choose what level you wanna be in. I mean, and the one that you mentioned, I think it's the ambassador.
Ambassador, yep.
Yeah, I think it's a bit less. It's about $67. And that includes like the core book, and not the core book, but the Emissary Lost book. It's got the one printed scenario, possibly two if we unlock the next one. It's got the dice set. It's got the map.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's got a nice map of Kua. That's right.
Yeah. So I mean, you get a lot of things. So hopefully that will feel like you get good value for the money there.
Hey, like I said, every single pledge I've ever gotten from you guys, it's just feels like you guys just you love to take care of us as backers. So, and another thing I'll tell folks is that Free League does a great job with communication on their Kickstarters. You guys are phenomenal. It's not like you do your Kickstarter and then we never hear from you. You keep us up to date on a regular basis, and if there's something that gets delayed, you're really communicative about that. And I can't. You guys are doing Kickstarter correctly, and I think that because of the success of this Kickstarter, that shows that you guys are. And I think I think anybody that's on the fence of maybe pledging, do it, because you won't regret it, because you guys are just doing some great work. But
thank you.
No problem. Now let's talk a little bit about, now that we've talked about Coriolis, we're going to talk about the other projects that you've had going on. The last Kickstarter that you just completed, it wasn't all that long ago, was a novel for Cult.
Yeah.
How's that going along? You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I mean, that was a bit of an experiment, to be completely honest.
Okay.
Yeah, we never kickstarted art books before. I mean, Simon Stollenhag's art books we have kickstarted before, and they're awesome. Well known. This was the first crowdfunded like novel of fiction, like a normal book that we have ever made. But we thought it would be nice to try it out. It's like you mentioned, it's based on Cult, which is also an old Swedish role-playing RPG brand that came out, I think, 1990. And it was a big hit back then. There's several editions that came out in the 90s, and now actually another Swedish publisher called Helmgast is making a new version of the Cult RPG. So we're not publishing that role-playing game, although they're good friends of us.
Nice.
Still. Yeah. So yeah, but we did publish another novel set in the Cult universe in Swedish last summer. It was not Kickstarted, we just published it normally. And then this thing came along. This book is interesting because it's written by the original creators of the Cult game. They're called Michael Peterson and Gunilla Johnson, and they wrote that original game back in 1990. And this is a novel by them. So it's really the original vision of Cult, or at least their take on it now. So it's and it's a really cool book. So we kickstarted in English and Swedish at the same time. It went fairly well. I mean, books is not the same things as the games. It's a different kind of a thing. But it's going to be interesting. I mean, the book is pretty much done. We're actually printing the Swedish version pretty much right now, but the translation is going on for the English. So that's going to come out, I think we said September, something like that.
Okay.
So yeah, and if you're interested in it, there is you can still do a late pledge. There is still that opportunity to get the book, because as of now, probably the book will be available in other channels, but nothing is settled yet. Okay. So if you're interested in this and you want to be sure to get the book in English, you can go do a late pledge. You can find that it's still available.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. I never really, I know in some of the comments from our Free League chat, someone mentioned Cult. And so when I saw the novel pop up, I was like, oh, this is cool. I'm gonna learn about I'll back this and read more about that, because I think you briefly brought Cult up on our last chat. So it was kind of interesting to hear some of the responses on that. And then once I saw the book, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll back that and see what it's all about. And so I'm kind of curious as to see what the Kickstarter for their RPG is gonna look like. Let's talk about Forbidden Lands. How is that coming along?
Oh, nicely. It's a lot of work. We're working. That's what we're spending most of our. I mean, apart from the Emissary Lost campaign, of course, working on Forbidden Lands. It's really what we do now every day. So yeah, it's a lot of. It's coming along very nicely. It's going to be a big game. I'm just now putting the finishing touches on the stronghold rules. I mean, that was one of the parts I mentioned before, that you can create your own stronghold, and that part of the rules was not in the alpha, because we felt to just try the game, you don't really need that. It's something for further into the campaign. So that's what I'm doing personally right now. I'm putting the finishing touches on that, and as soon as those are done, we're gonna put that out as well. I mean, usually we did three chapters of setting that we shared with backers as a PDF a couple of maybe a week or two ago. That was like setting the history, the different races and beings, and the gods and religions of the Forbidden Land. So it's a fairly meaty PDF on all of that. And then because what we're doing with Forbidden Lands is not just going to be the base game, but there's also going to be a big campaign book that is published at the same time called Raven's Purge. So we're working on that as well. Eric Granstrom, who's the lead writer on that, he's the writer of that. So he's putting the finishing last few texts together on that right now, and we're bouncing back and forth, doing the editing and translation. And I mean, that's always, we're publishing the game in two languages at the same time, which is it's interesting.
Amazing.
Yeah, so that obviously creates a lot of, and I mean, not only that you have to translate it, but it's when you edit something and you find something you want to change, you have to be really sure you change it in both editions. Otherwise, they're going to start diverging. You do not want that. So there's just keeping the versions straight is a bit of a challenge, but it's working out well.
Excellent.
Then all of them, like there's all of these so-called adventure sites, which are scenario locations, which is like the way we format scenarios for this game. They're coming together with beautiful maps and everything. We're going to be doing the special dice, the custom dice we have for that game as well. And those are not just D6s. You also have the fun polyhedral dice. That's
right.
going to be really nice. The big map is going to be a huge, beautiful map that's done. So we're going to send that to print soon. And the books are going to be like, they're going to have this kind of it's going to be a boxed set. And the books in it are going to be hardcover books with like this faux leather covers. So they're really going to feel like old, tomes. So that's going to be interesting. It's going to be a big box with a lot of cool stuff in it.
So excited for that. What's your target for release on that? In
the Kickstarter, it's June, and that's what we're working toward. And we definitely have. It's possible that it's all backers won't have the game in their hands by June. That might be a little bit too tight. So, but shipping should start in June or just around there. We definitely hope to have, so the summer. We definitely hope to have the complete PDF with completely done, all done, so we can get that to backers in May for sure. So you will know that the game is there, and then the printing and shipping takes some time. So we'll see if we slip just a little bit past June, but not much.
Excellent.
I mean, we're planning to. I could mention that, by the way. We actually we just got word now that we're gonna have a booth at Gen Con this year. So
you are excellent.
Yeah.
Oh, the one year that I can't go.
Oh no, you're not coming.
Oh, come on! But you know what? I know lots of people. I'm going to send them your way. I've got a couple people that I'm definitely going to go see Thomas. Gen Con.
So we're going to have a booth there. We're just finalizing everything now and trying to find some place to stay. That's hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the idea is that, I mean, that's like the big release. We'll have the Forbidden Lands game there. That's what we're there for.
Let's talk a little bit about Mechatron, Mutant Year Zero, the next standalone Mutant Year Zero game. That has been delayed a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you kind of reworked the campaign.
Yeah, I mean, as far as Kickstarters and delays go, I mean, this is the one that we feel the worst about because it's been significantly delayed. Now it's being printed as we speak. We're completely done. It's at the printer, so there is no more delays or no more. But I mean, we originally the date to complete it was, I think, September. So I mean, that's 6 months ago. So there is a significant delay on that, and that's poor planning on our part. But I think the main reason is that we had it the completely translated text and so on, but we realized during editing that we wanted to do some more significant changes to it because from the Swedish version, and there's a lot of reasons for that. It's not that it was bad as such, but it wasn't. It felt too far away from Mutant Year Zero. It didn't really feel like they were part of the same universe in the same game.
Sure.
So because of that, we did some significant reworks and rewrites, which took longer than we had anticipated, and we needed new maps, a lot of new maps, new art, and that just sort of brought us way off on when to actually complete that. But now it's completely done. It's being printed as we speak, so backers should be getting it. Well, printing takes a bit of time, shipping, but it's now March, so definitely during it should start shipping out during April for sure.
Nice.
So it's not far off, and the way it turned out now, I think it's cool. It feels more like part of the Mutant Year Zero universe. It's still got its own little thing. It's robots, and that's it's not that common. There are some other RPGs where you play robots, but they're not that many. So it's sort of not. It's a little bit uncharted territory to sort of how do you actually do that? How do you make playing a robot interesting? How do you make it relatable? What do you do as a robot? I mean, so this is the most. I mean, Year Zero is poses its own sets of challenges as what you do, and it's all about building a new world in the sort of wasteland and the ruins and so on. GenLab Alpha is all about sort of fighting the revolution against the oppression, like you're the animals trapped by these robot watchers, and you're sort of planning the resistance movement to escape. So it's got that kind of a thing. I would say Mechatron is a bit more. I don't know. I wouldn't say intellectual specifically, but it's sort of. It's the game where you can pose a lot of fun questions about a lot of things, and frame it in being like a machine, because it's and the core thing that sort of that kicks it off is that in this huge underground robot facility called Mechatron 7, which was run by humans before, but they left like decades ago. The robots are still there, just doing their job, fulfilling the orders that humans left them. But then recently they have started to awake, to sort of become self-aware. Not all of them at the same time, but more and more. And this sort of creates a lot of strain on this robot collective that these self-aware robots are starting to act erratically, ask strange questions, don't follow orders. And this creates a sort of a crisis in the collective, and the ruler that's sort of ruling AI construct called Nodos, it creates a quality assurance program where it sort of wants to eradicate all of these self-aware, strange robots who are not really following orders the way they're supposed to. And of course, the player characters are drafted into this program. So they are part of something called an error elimination unit. So their job is actually, they are self-aware themselves. But of course, they cannot say this because they would probably get imprisoned or something.
Right.
They are sent out to investigate other robots that are starting to display this strange behavior. So it's a kind of a Blade Runner-like thing,
I like it. Yeah.
But it's got these kind of. I mean, there's got plenty of action and fun stuff, and dramatic stuff, but also with a bit of philosophy, some philosophy in there as well, that what it means to have a free will. What do you actually want to do if you don't follow orders? What is that? What is it? Self-awareness. What does it mean? What does it mean to have, a soul? All of those kinds of questions you could sort of, they fit very naturally into this kind of a setting. Sure. So of course things go sideways and a lot of things happen, and I won't spoil the campaign. Like Gen Lab Alpha and Year Zero, this campaign, there is a campaign built into the game, so it's a game and a campaign at the same time. And just like Gen Lab Alpha, it fits into the Year Zero universe, so that when you have finished a campaign of Mechatron, you will have robots in the zone. You can play robots that meet the mutants and the animal mutants, and they all sort of tie into this joint larger setting for all of those games. So that's the way that game works. That it's this is the third game. There's going to be a fourth game, and they all tie together to create this greater shared universe.
Excellent. And the fourth, do you have plans for? Can you kind of give us a little teaser as far as what the fourth is that going to be? Kickstarted? Is that?
The first one was Year Zero, so that's human mutants. Second was Gen Lab Alpha, which is animal mutants or sentient animals. Third is Mechatron, robots, and the fourth is about the non-mutant humans. Those are the ones who actually have survived the apocalypse, and they live in something called enclaves, which are underground cities or vaults, kind of like Fallout a little bit, but a bit bigger. They're more like underground cities. So most of these, there was an enclave war which basically destroyed most of these enclaves, so only a few have actually survived. And in Mutant Elysium, which this is going to be called, because there's a Titan power that's some of these enclaves have sort of banded together to form something called a Titan power, and this Titan power is called Elysium. And this is Elysium 1, so it's like the original enclave. It's about life in this very controlled environment, this underground city where people have lived for hundreds of years, wishing one day to return to the Earth's surface, but have been unable to do so. And this has created a lot of theories and ideas of what's actually up there. Is what's actually going on the surface world? Can it be inhabited or not? And there is a power struggle inside this enclave, inside Elysium, between like the ruling elite and basically some like the servants or workforce, and that there's like a tension there, and the player characters actually play police, or a special kind of police. They're called judicators, who are sort of charged with keeping law and order in this enclave, in this underground city, when things are starting to fall apart, because it's sort of resources are running out. People are getting restless. It's the society is sort of falling apart, and so this sort of turns the perspective on its head from like Gen Lab, where you play the rebels, the ones who want to change things. Here, you actually in Elysium, you actually play the ones given the task to keep things as they are. So you become the not necessarily the oppressor, but you're placed on that side. And I think that's a really interesting perspective, where you need to think for yourself whether you should actually follow orders and do as you're told, or whether you actually perhaps want to help those rebels, and you're more on the fence there, and that creates a lot of interesting drama and a potential for great play. And it's sort of the way it plays out. It's scenario based in the way that you actually play like cases where you get sent to solve some particular kind of situation. So it's a bit procedural in that sense, but there's also a larger campaign that ties everything together that will change life in this enclave forever. There are like 4 ruling families in this enclave, so there's like a power struggle between those, and that's also part of the game. So it's sort of there's a meta level where you play your character, but you're also a representative of your family or your clan. So that's yeah, I mean, it's in a nutshell. There's a lot of stuff going on there. I could probably explain it a bit better later on, but it's
That's
coming
fun.
on along nicely. I mean, it's completely done. The translation is underway, so we hope to release it. It's probably not going to be released this year, but for sure next year. So
Excellent.
we probably will do a Kickstarter for it, I guess, and it will probably be in the fall or very early next year.
You'll have to come on for that Kickstarter because I'm very excited about that. I love Mutant Year Zero. I need to get more Mutant Year Zero on this content on this show because it's a great game. I'm so excited about that. Now, this is the fourth book. This is the fourth, like the box set that you're translating to English.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it for the Mutant Year Zero that you've put out, right? Is that the
Yeah, I mean, no, it's in. I mean, for the Swedish versions, we have published these 4 sets.
Right,
so there,
right.
it's sort of that series is complete, if you will. We have introduced all the 4 main classes of characters. We have sort of created the mutant universe, but it definitely doesn't mean the end of Mutant Year Zero. It's more like the beginning, really.
Nice.
I mean, it's because now we can do all kinds of things with all of these classes.
I'm so excited.
I mean, and maybe, I mean, that's not our project as such, but maybe you saw there's a video game based on
There
Mutant
is,
Zero.
yeah. I was excited about that.
So that's cool. That's good. That's happening. We're also just looking at other forms of games, maybe perhaps a miniatures game. So there's going to be perhaps things like that. So we'll see. And of course, more RPG stuff. There is a campaign called, which I'm not sure if we have nailed the English title yet, but it's going to be called probably Grey Death. Which is campaign book that will be using all of the classes. So that's like the next thing, and we have some big plans after that as well. So I'll have to get back to you on that. But
excellent.
Yeah.
No, I'm excited. I didn't think it was going to be, and that's kind of why I wanted to put to rest that if anybody is thinking that this last project is the end of Mutant Year Zero, it's not. It's just the beginning, and I'm really excited about the future of that IP. Let's talk a little bit about. Let's talk. Oh, whoa. I got all these questions here.
Oh.
Well, I was going to bring up Tales from the Loop. It looks like Sebastian says, any plans for more extensive campaigns like Emissary Lost for Tales of the Loop? Tales from the Loop.
Yeah. Yes. We have actually. I mean, they're probably not going to look exactly like Emissary Lost, but yeah, bigger like campaign books for Tales from the Loop are in the works. I mean, the first one coming up is going to be based on Things from the Flood, which is Simon Stolnhag's second art book, and
right.
this is the what we plan to do is a campaign book that it's an expansion that will bring the setting from the 80s into the 90s, which has a bit of a different feel to it. It's also going to include a complete campaign. So that's the next thing coming. But apart from that, we also have actually two other campaigns being written right now. I can't tell you too much about them, but they're for Tales from the Loop. So they'll be set in the 80s. Both looking really cool. I don't think I can tell you much about them in detail yet.
Right. No, don't spoil.
But there will be. So there are currently 3 campaigns being worked on for Tales from the Loop. Yeah, I mean, Things from the Flood, which is the first one, will come out later this year, and the other ones early next year, probably. Not completely nailed those release dates yet.
Sure, I love the second book that you put out by for Tales from the Loop. Our Friends the Machines and Other Mysteries. I love that book. The Our Friends the Machine campaign, or the scenario is amazing. Like as a kid growing up in the 80s and having Transformers, it was just like, oh man, like I can't wait to get this on get this played because this is just so much fun. And
the guy who wrote that, he's got Michael Bergstrom. He's also a huge Transformers fan. So it's, nice. I mean, I think it shows in that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's nice. I like it.
Let's see here. So we got kind of two questions that kind of go together. One is the how is the Mutant Year Zero open game license that was part of the Forbidden Lands Kickstarter coming along? And the other question is for you, Thomas. It says the Mutant Year Zero engine was Thomas's invention. Each game has been a different variant, but are you getting bored with it?
Yeah.
Would you like to try different mechanics at this point?
Yeah, I'll start with the first one then.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so I mean, that was a stretch goal in the Forbidden Lands Kickstarter, that we would do an open game license for people who want to use that engine to do their own things, or versions of variants on it, and tweak it and do what they like. So what will the actual, like, the more concrete thing is that we'll put together a PDF that sort of with a summary or the core rules of that engine, sort of boil it down to like and that's like, it can be a resource for anyone who wants to use a similar system or base it on that system. So I haven't, to be honest, we haven't started working on that particular text yet, but we will do that as soon as Forbidden Lands is finished, and then we'll boil that down to a nice size. And then there will be some kind of legal framework, very easy to use for anyone who wants to sort of,
make like third-party stuff.
Yeah, use that for their game or scenarios, and it will probably be like a small logo that says something like "powered by the Year Zero engine" or something like that, or whatever. So that's something like that, and that's happening. Can't really say when that PDF is going to be done, but it shouldn't take too long after the Forbidden Lands is finished. But we have to focus on getting the game done.
What's that going to be like, Thomas? Like you've created this framework and these mechanics for a game, and people want to use that for other games. Like that's gonna be awesome.
It's fantastic. It's so much fun, and there's already that's actually a bit interesting. There's this guy on our forums who he had a lot of feedback on the Forbidden Lands rules. I think he liked a lot of it, and some parts he was not. He was working, I think, already on a fantasy version of the Mutant Year Zero game rules. So then Forbidden Lands came, which is kind of that. It's based on the same engine, and I think now he's making his own version that is sort of partly based on Forbidden Lands and what's in there, partly based on Mutant Year Zero, and partly on what he had himself thought up in the meantime.
There. Oh, nice.
So he's already starting on that thing. So that's, even though Forbidden Lands is not even out yet, we already have the first sort of licensed version of the engine or product on the way. So that's fantastic. That's a lot of fun, because it's for me it's a lot of fun to sort of bounce ideas around like that and have people working on the same kind of base. It's really inspiring, so it's a lot of fun. And getting bored, sometimes, I guess. No, it's interesting. We started making games. We didn't have this engine. This was actually when we started making the first. Let's see, in Swedish, Mutant Year Zero is our third game, and the first three games had completely different mechanics. There were some things that were similar, but they were different. They were not the same engine at all. So basically, what I've been doing before was wherever I thought up a new game, we made completely new mechanics for it. And we did for Mutant Year Zero as well. And this is that the rule set of that core engine. Then we worked a lot on Coriolis, and we tried. For the Swedish version, we worked on Coriolis for a very long time. We tried a lot of different rules engines. I think I did 3 different ones, tried them out. We tried to do a Fate-based version. We tried that out. Yep. But nothing really felt really right. So we were like, what are we actually going to be doing here? Should we just start from scratch with another, or what are we going to do? And then some of the other guys, not me, said, why don't we just try and use the engine from Mutant Year Zero for Coriolis and tweak it and see if we can get that to work. So we did. I sort of got to work on that. We came up with the prayer system, that because religion and mysticism is a big part of Coriolis. So prayer is something that actually has a mechanical effect. So we worked that into the system, but we based it on Mutant Year Zero. And we thought it worked well, and we were, felt this works. This is good. And then there's always the added benefit of if you have played Mutant Year Zero, it lowers the barrier a little bit to play Coriolis because the core engine is the same, so you'll easily pick it up if you know Mutant Year Zero. It's easy to pick up and play Coriolis. And since that turned out well, people were happy about it. Mutant Year Zero got an award at Gen Con 2015, a silver ENnie for the rules. So we thought, well, maybe we have something here. Maybe we should actually start working on that. And so then when Tales came along, that we actually thought, well, let's just do that again, tweak it and see. Start on the same base and tweak it to fit this game, but use the same core engine. And then with Forbidden Lands, we just felt, let's just do that because it works. And then since people have started using it for other things, and the open game license came up, so now it feels a very natural thing to do. I won't say that every game we ever make will have that engine. I mean, we can definitely come up with a game sometime that we feel needs something completely different. But right now, for the games that we have going on at the moment, it has felt like it does the job in the way we want it to. I mean, of course, they're very different games and settings are different, but they have some things in common that I think we like in all of our games, and that we like them to be pretty fast and furious and deadly. I mean, this is not a game where combat takes for ages, because you won't live that long. It's going to be fast. And that sort of mechanics are quite rules light and help push the story along, while still retaining a feeling of realism, or at least you can sort of relate to, produce some kind of results that feel like they could happen in the real world. So in that sense, I think this engine works pretty well with all of those games and all of those settings. So we'll see what happens with game number 5, if we'll use the same engine or not. We'll see.
Nice. Yeah, all those things that you just mentioned are definitely things that I check off with an RPG if I really enjoy them, and that's what really draws me to your games, is just the fact that they're. I mean, the rules are there. They're not. You're not doing a whole lot of heavy math with them. They're really story driven. The settings are just so rich, and it's just so easy to just pick up and play. And I like D6 systems anyway, because I think that I think that they're a little bit easier to comprehend for especially for newer players.
Yeah.
But let's see here. Okay, so Quirin Tarantino says there's a video game for Mutant Year Zero setting alpha developed. You said earlier that the license for Coriolis is in the hand of a PC developer. Mm-hmm. Are there perhaps any plans for a Coriolis video game?
Well, I can't say. I mean, I would have to ask them about that. I'm not working. I mean,
you're not at liberty to say.
Yeah, I can't really say, but I mean, we are not working on a computer game for Coriolis at this point. It could definitely happen. I think it would work really well, but it's not something that Free League is. Yeah. So I hope so. Yeah, I hope so someday to see it. And it's definitely on the radar of. I mean, obviously, Paradox owns the license and the IP. So sure, it's not beyond the it's not far from impossible that it could happen. Nice. I hope so.
Matthew Tyler Jones asks. Matthew is also one of the co-hosts to the Coriolis Effect. We finally he mentions that. Later, after we bring up the podcast, he says, get Thomas to spill the beans on Mutant Ad Astra and Mutant Hindenburg.
Oh,
he wants this beans spilled on those. But
okay, yeah, sure, I can spill some beans. I should have mentioned Ad Astra when we talked about the future of mutants. I just slipped my mind for some reason, and it really shouldn't, because it's a really cool thing. That we're working on. It's actually it's already mentioned in, so that's not so much spilling beans, because I think Mutant Ad Astra is mentioned in the Mutant Year Zero book, probably in the others as well, because we planned it from the start. Nice. I can't really say why without spoiling Mutant Year Zero, but anyway, I mean, Mutant Ad Astra is basically mutants in space, and what we want to do with that game that will set it apart from Coriolis is that it's it's much more down to earth kind of science fiction.
Okay.
So in Mutant Ad Astra, you'll have mutants as well, and animals and stuff in space, but it will be in our solar system. You will not be flying around to other galaxies. It will be in the solar system. So basically going to Jupiter or the moons of Jupiter, that's a really long trip that takes a very long time. And and we also want to, it's a game where there will not be artificial gravity. So basically, you will be, I mean, there's going to be a lot of zero gravity, or if there is gravity, you will have to create it by spinning, and like the I don't know name of the effect is, but or acceleration, deceleration. You can also use to create artificial gravity. So it will have that. I mean, it's going to be more. It's going to be a more hard sci-fi in the terms that you will not have some kind of there will be no warp drives or portals or anything that is completely beyond what we actually know today in terms of technology. So and it's also, since it's mutant, there will be mutants, but it's also a post-apocalyptic game. So basically it's the story is that when Earth, or around the time when Earth went to hell, when during the apocalypse on Earth, people fled out into the solar system, creating a lot of bases on moons and planets and also orbital stations. But of course, war spread to that place as well. So most of those orbital stations and moons and stations have been destroyed. So you were moving around in a sort of a, there are still isolated pockets of civilization in the solar system that you move around between, but it's going to have that kind of post-apocalyptic feel of mutant, making it into a mutant game. So yeah, we started working on it. It really kicked off now just in the last few months. I mean, we've been planning it, doing a lot of, for years, but the last few months it's really picked up speed. So what we did just a week ago, I think we shared some images from it. There's an awesome image of a monkey in a spacesuit. You should check that out.
It is, yes, it's great.
So that's nice. And also the writing has kicked off. We have a great freelancer. I mean, we work together. This is one of the projects that we have done some work on, but it's going to be a freelancer who will be doing the heavy lifting of the writing, and then we'll bounce everything back and forth a lot. And he has really gotten to work. So now things are really moving forward a lot quicker on Ad Astra. So to be honest, I can't really say whether Elysium or Ad Astra will come first. We'll have to see. But both should come out. Both will come out next year. I don't think we'll be able to release them this year, but we'll probably kickstart at least one of them this year, and both should be released during 2019. So they're both coming along. The other one that you mentioned is a bit of a special case. It's called Mutant Hindenburg, and that's a tricky one that we've been thinking hard about what to do with. I mean, so for the moment, at least to start with, I'm sorry to say, it's probably at least the first edition will be published in Swedish only. At least
and that makes sense.
And the reason for that is that it ties back to the original version of Mutant that came out in the 80s, and another version that came out in the 2000s, which was also really nice. So basically, it connects the Mutant Hindenburg, and Hindenburg, it's called Hindenburg because the city that you play in that sort of because in that original version of Mutant from the 80s, there was like a country with a capital, and the capital of that country was called Hindenburg. So this is basically a return to that. And Mutant Year Zero is a prequel to all of that. So that happened way before, hundreds of years before. So basically, Hindenburg is because it's tying together Mutant Year Zero with the original 84 version, with the 2000s version called Heirs of Doom, and then creating tying all of those together. So that's why we're planning on to at least to start with to do it in Swedish, because it really, you pretty much need to have that kind of, I mean, Mutant Year Zero is the first version that was published in English. So
Right.
the Hindenburg kind of requires you to have some kind of knowledge about the other versions that have come out of throughout the years, the 80s version and the 2000s version. So it's a bit tricky as an international product because you don't have that context for this game. It still could work. It's still going to be a cool setting, and I think we will probably translate it, but it's a bit we probably want to get some more stuff out on Year Zero first to prepare, lay the groundwork better for the international audience. Because I think if we just publish it now internationally, it would feel very strange and very far away from Year Zero, because there's such a gap there, which is filled by those other games that have never been published internationally. So that's why it's a bit tricky for us. But yeah, so we published some images from that online the other day as well. So I think that's why the question came up. But yeah, I mean, if you saw those and you're curious about it, sooner or later it will probably do something in English. But Ad Astra and Elysium are sort of earlier. Yeah.
Excellent. No, I'm excited. I'm excited for all these projects that you have. It's so great to see you guys just keep on. You guys are just like exploding onto the scene. It's great to see these last couple of years have just been huge for you, and I'm so excited for you guys, and I'm so pleased to see everybody just flock to your products, and I hope anybody that's watching today that hasn't picked up any of your games will go out and pick them up, because they're just great, and you guys just do great work. Your whole team is putting out some top-notch products and games, and I know it's not just you behind the scenes. It's everybody else, and we should also acknowledge them, because they're doing some great work as well.
Yeah, I mean, I really have to sort of emphasize that the Free League core team is 3 people. We work, I mean, full time basically doing this, but then we have a lot of awesome freelancers who do great. I mean, illustrators, writers, proofreaders, everything. So I mean, it's really a team effort for sure.
That's awesome. Awesome. That's I think that's about it. We've gone over. Usually I like to keep these about an hour. I don't think last time we went over. I think we went over an hour as well. So we're approaching almost a minute and a half. I mean, an hour and a half at this point. I think all of the questions are answered that are in the chat. Unless I want to thank Tomas for coming on. Let's talk a little bit. Where can folks find you this year? You said you're going to be at Gen Con. Do you have any other events that you've got coming up?
Well, there is like the main Swedish RPG event is now. It's next weekend. It's an Easter weekend every year. It's in Gothenburg, so it's called GothCon. So we're going there. We always go there. It's like the place where we always go, and it's a lot of fun. So if you happen to have want to stop by Sweden it's nice.
Yeah, I'll probably be down that way next week.
Yeah, just passing by, right? Yeah. No, so, I mean, apart from that, Gen Con is the one that we are sure of, or 95% sure of. We could possibly go to UK Game Expo, but it's not finalized. We could go to Essen in Germany, which is a big thing in the fall. There's a lot of other Swedish cons like the Comic Con in Stockholm and things like that. But that's something that we want to do, is to go to more international cons, specifically in the US. Right. So Gen Con feels like the place where we should be, but we'd definitely like to go to more. It's more, it's logistically tricky. It's a long trip and a lot of things. That's something we're aiming for.
And it's not cheap to travel. Yeah. So it's you've got to as much as we might like to brag about all the Free League success. It's not like you're buying a fleet of sports cars with your money and you're jet setting around the world.
Afraid not.
Still, you're doing this because you like to make games more than anything else.
Absolutely. I mean,
And we will say that if anybody is curious and you're not at an event, check and see if maybe there's a Modiphius booth there, because Modiphius also carries your products.
That's a very good point. Yeah, Modiphius is our international distributor, so they have all of our games as well. Yep.
Excellent. let's see here. Where can folks find you online? Where can folks, if they want to follow Free League?
Yeah,
you've got
we have a website. It's Free League Publishing in one word.com. freeleaguepublishing.com. You can find us there, and also our Facebook. There we still go by the Swedish name Fria Ligan, so that's FRIALIGAN. We tried to change it, but Facebook wouldn't let us change our name.
Yeah, no, they don't let you do that.
So we couldn't. So we're still using the Swedish name on Facebook, but hopefully you can find it anyway. So that's where we. I mean, then we have the forums and everything. But I think if your Facebook is nice for the short, quick things, and then the bigger news and all of that is on the website. So if you have those two, you'll find everything.
Excellent. I've put the links to all those down below, so please give them a follow. Give them, check them out wherever you can on whatever social media that you're on. Mm-hmm. I think that's all I've got for you, Tomas. I want to thank you again for coming on tonight. And it's afternoon for me, but it's much later in the evening for you. So I appreciate you taking your time out of your day to come on and talk about all things Free League. If you haven't backed the Coriolis Emissary Lost campaign, go back it right now. I don't think you'll be disappointed at all. I think you'll really dig Coriolis if you haven't already gotten into it.
Fantastic.
That's going to do it for me tonight. I want to thank everybody for watching. Thank you, everybody, for putting their comments and questions in the chat as we had our little Q&A today. My name is Doug. This has been Victory Condition Gaming, because winning shouldn't be the only victory condition when you get to the table. We'll see you next time.